As any gambler will tell you, the hardest thing to beat when you're cheating is the cut. And as a magician, of course, it's always wise to cut the cards. Trouble is, when you've got that little card you love, their chosen card on top of the deck, you really want to keep it there. So now you have to learn to beat the cut. Here's a few false cuts for your toolbox. Let's first of all do this cut. This leaves your ace of clubs on top. You can also do this cut as an in-hands cut. Again, cutting the deck, looking like a normal cut, but leaving their card on top of the deck. In a lot of early magic books, it's actually described this way, again, leaving their card on top of the deck. All of these are the same cut. It's a slip cut. So the card is on top of the deck. In fact, let's leave it face up for you. What I'm going to do on the first one, the tabled slip cut, is I'm going to lift about half of the deck up at the back of the deck. Now, as I move the bottom half forwards, I'm going to take the top card along with it from pressure from the right first finger. So I've lifted up about half the deck. Now the right first finger is going to take that card along with it as I cut the deck. So with the card face down, it looks as though you cut the deck, but the ace of clubs is on top. The in-hand slip cut, exactly the same idea. What's going to happen is, this time my left thumb is going to hold on to the ace of clubs as I strip out the top half of the deck to go down to the table. So I'm holding it and I'm stripping off the ace of clubs. Again, with the ace of clubs face down, it looks just as though you cut the deck, but leave the ace of clubs on top. The little variation is just from the side. I'm just holding the cards here, and this time my left first finger is going to hold on to that ace as I strip the cards down and then cut down to the table. With the ace of clubs face down, it looks just as though you've cut the deck. But lucky you, that chosen card is still on top. And that's how you add a slip cut to your toolbox. People are getting very used to casinos these days on TV with the popularity of Texas Hold'em. So it's wise to cut a deck of cards in the same way the casino dealers cut the deck of cards. Let's add this to our toolbox. It's a way that looks exactly as though a casino dealer would cut the deck of cards. And yet the ace of clubs, the card we wish to keep in place, is on top. As a bonus for you, the entire deck is still in the same order. Let's look at the cut once again with the ace of clubs face up. So we cut exactly the same way a casino dealer would cut. There's their card on top, and the rest of the deck is in exactly the same order. So how do we do it? First of all, we cut off about a third from the top of the deck. About a third of the deck, 2/3 coming from underneath. These cards are placed on top of the other half, but jogged over to the left. Now we're going to take out the middle of the top section as so. You see what I'm doing? I'm taking out just the middle section, the section that's at the bottom of those that's been cut off, and I'm going to cut everything to the top. That leaves this section sticking out, and that's the section I'm going to cut to the top. So it's 2/3 to the top, stepped over. Now I'm going to take out just the middle bit, cut up to the top, leave those sticking out, and then I'm going to cut those to the top. At full working speed, this looks just like a casino cut. And yet the entire deck is in order, but probably far more importantly for you, the ace of clubs, or your card you've had chosen, stays on top of the deck. and that's the Greek cut. Here's another false cut for you. The Frank Thompson false cut was first popularized by Frank Garcia in the book Super Subtle Card Miracles, and it's actually a full deck false cut, but let's use it just for now to control the top card, although the rest of the deck will stay in order. Here's two ways to do the cut. The first way, the way the cut was described in the book, is like this. And there's your card on top. And trust me, the deck really is still in the same order. Another way to do the cut, just a tiny variation, is if you have a table surface, is to do it like this without the spin on the cut. So how do we achieve this rather marvelous little cut? First of all, the right hand's holding it from above, splits off about a third of the deck, takes it into the left hand, a swing cut, if you will. It splits off another third of the deck, puts that into the left hand, but as it goes into the left hand, the left little finger holds a break between those two halves. As the final portion of the deck comes on top, the left little finger is going to straighten out just a little, and that's going to move that packet over. So as this comes over, that finger straightens out just a little bit. We strip out that middle packet, but don't lose the break, my friends. Keep that little finger there so the break stays in place. These cards go on top. And now if you're going to do the first version of the cut, keep your break just there. And now you're going to swivel those cards into the hand and over, maintaining the integrity and order of the deck. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to leave off the spinny ending, it's exactly the same cut, just a little variation. 1, 2, 3, 4, right to that same point. Now this is where you would do the spin, but you can also just cut them to the table. It looks a little more natural in my opinion, but either way, you've maintained your top card and the order of the deck. And that's the Frank Thompson false cut. Here's another nice little false cut for you on the table. It's an optical thing, and it's very much a timing one, but let's look what it looks like. We have the, oh, look, it's our old buddy, the ace of clubs on top of the deck. Who would have guessed? I'd never have done that. Let's give the deck a cut, complete the cut, and there's the ace of clubs still on top of the deck. Now this little cut is all about timing. What you're going to do, as you come behind the deck, you're going to lift it slightly up, just a little slightly up off the table, because you're going to swoop off the bottom half and put it forwards. You see, a normal cut would be to take the top of the deck, put the bottom on top of it. That's what you're going to duplicate the action of, but in this case, you're going to take the bottom of the deck and put the top half straight back on top. So let's try and make this really obvious for you. So we lift at the back, and this is going to be part of the optics of the effect. As I come over here, I'm going to take the bottom of the deck and I'm going to swoop upwards very harshly, like this, and stamp it down, and then put the original top back on top. So the bottom half is going to be swept out, put down, and the original half put back on top. In other words, nothing has happened. It's like a duck swimming underwater, farolos, if you like, Spanish for foolishness, I believe. Maybe, maybe not. But if not, it should be. So I'm creating a whole new language here. So with the ace of clubs face up, this little cut looks as though you cut the deck, and yet the deck is still in the same order. Don't put this one aside because of its simplicity. It's actually a very beautiful and deceptive false cut. There are times when making a mistake on a table can actually cover an action for you. Let's say I'm going to do a cut, and I come here, and I go, oops, man, I left a few cards behind on the table. And yet, during that little simple mistake, I've controlled the 4 aces, or a chosen card, or a stack of some kind. This is the leave it cut, and is very, very deceptive indeed, and in fact is used by professional gamblers. So I'm cutting the deck, I'm going, oops, I've left a few cards behind on the table, and I've still got those 4 aces. So how does the leave it cut work? Let's leave the 4 aces face up. Whatever cards you need are on top of the deck. I take about half the deck into my hands. Now I'm going to deliberately leave some cards behind on the table, but notice how the cards in the left hand are kind of down. They're way out in the hand. So I'm going to leave a couple of cards behind, and these cards are going to come over the top of the cards already in the left hand. So they come over, they're gripped by my left thumb, so now the packets are separated, and my right fingers can actually take away the underneath portion as I go, oops, I've left some cards behind. Let me show you that in action. So I'll cut the deck. Oh man, I left some cards behind. And you've managed to maintain the integrity of the top half of the deck. Now that's a great little false cut. The leave it cut. Give it to you one more time with the cards face down, just so you can enjoy. Oops, left a few cards behind, and there are the 1, 2, 3, 4 aces. Here's a little table hop with a deck of cards you can play with, a table hop or a table pass if you wish, to maintain a card on top of the deck. Hey, it's our little buddy, the Ace of Clubs. It's been with us all the way through. Thanks for staying awake, my friend. You can ask even a spectator to cut the deck. Of course, as a performer, you're allowed to complete the cut yourself. Completing the cut, however, leaves our little buddy on top of the deck. So how are we going to do this? This is a one-handed pass action on the table. The deck is cut towards you. As you pick up the section to complete the cut, you're actually going to do a sweeping action. But what happens is the deck comes completely into the crotch of the thumb. So as you pick it up, the fingers squeeze, and now it's in the crotch of my thumb. As I come back to apparently just complete the cut, I dip the deck down, just as so. And now I'm going to snatch the deck back onto the portion there. Let me do it just one more time for you, slowly and then fast. So it's here, here, and here. So a little faster. There's a little table hop for you. Now, if you are getting a little twitchy about your hands being able to do this, a very nice action recommended by Edward Marlowe was to use the other hand as a shade. So as you come in, you come to square the cards with the hand, and there's the hop done. So from the back, if these maniacs here can show it, and I'm sure they can because they're quite efficient, is as you do the cut, this hand comes around and completely conceals the action of the hop. So Ace of Clubs is on top, and you know from the front, you just don't see a thing. You can't have enough false cuts in your armory. That's one thing I've always worked out. I've currently got 2. Okay, I'm working on a few more, but you can't have enough. Here's another one for you. You can give the deck a little cut, and a little cut. But you're still maintaining the integrity of the deck, and indeed that top card, our erstwhile buddy, the ace of clubs. It looks like the Greek cut, but it's not. It's kind of similar, but it isn't. In the same way that a llama is like a small mountain. They're both humped, but different. Okay, let's try and explain this one to you. This is all about the thumb break. So the card we want, in this case, we're just controlling one card, although the deck does stay in order, is on top of the deck. Let's turn it face up. We cut about 1/3 of the deck to the bottom, and as the deck comes over, I hold a thumb break on the between the 2 halves. And now take about half of the cards below the break, bring them back to the top, and now I bring all the cards below the break to the top. So this is basically just rotating the deck around itself. So I'm coming break, half below the break, and then the cards above the break. So 1, 2, 3. It looks like the Greek cut, it's slightly different, and it's quite delightful. And it's another full deck false cut. Here's a little in-hands cut onto the table, just as so. Looks quite natural, looks quite nice, but yet again we've controlled our little buddy, the ace of clubs, to the top of the deck. This is quite a lovely optically deceptive cut. It looks exactly as though you're cutting the cards, and yet you're not. Let's leave that ace of clubs face up. A lot of the optical retention is due to the right first finger. Okay, we're holding the deck from above. We lift a little here. We're just going to lift as if we're going to pull out and cut the deck. That's not what we're going to do. You see, what we're going to do is actually lift here, and we're going to run this finger across the cards as we pull out the bottom cards. So we're holding, right first finger lifts, kicks over just a little, and now the right first finger is going to trail across those cards as we just put the bottom of the deck down and put the rest of the deck on top. Now with that card face up, of course, it looks completely obvious what we've done. With that ace of clubs face down, it looks exactly as though you cut a deck of cards, but you didn't. Now there's nothing wrong every now and then with throwing in a little fancy pants stuff in, and this is one some of your uncles may even know, so it's worthwhile learning it so that they don't show you up at the next house party. The Charlier cut, a one-handed cut. It looks just like this. It actually looks pretty cool if you get it smooth. So how do you do it? The cards are held up in the hand. You don't want them down in the palm. You want them up in the hand. You want the little finger at one end, first finger at the other end, and the other 2 fingers on the long edge, and indeed your thumb on the other long edge. Now you're going to drop about half of the deck into your palm. The first finger is now going to come up and push those cards back, and now relax the fingers so it can clear and go around. So we drop, right first finger pushes, relax the rest of the fingers, it can go around. And when you get good at it, it looks kind of frisky. And that's the little Charlier cut. Okay, you want a little practice? Here's another one for you to play with. This is known as the Erdnase cut, or the front cut. It looks kind of the same as the Charlier cut, but it's much tougher to do. This is where you bring the cards from the front of the deck, just as so. Now this is going to take a little bit of practice, my friends. What you need to do is to hold the deck as so. Little finger down, finger up here, the thumb across the deck. You're essentially gripping the deck between the little finger and the thumb. So it's held like this. Now the first finger is going to go in and pull down some cards. The second finger is going to go in as well, and the third finger is going to curl in underneath. At this point, you're going to think you've got arthritis until you loosen up your hands a bit. You've just really got to trust the cards here. Now you're going to straighten out those fingers and bring the cards to the top. So the first finger and second finger go in, the third finger goes underneath, and we squish up. This takes a whole lot of learning curve, my friends, but it's worth it because it's one of those moves that not too many people can do, and it looks very, very sweet indeed. Now when you've learned that little front cut, you might want to try this one, which is the front cut from the middle. That's where the first finger pulls down, and then we take a little packet out from the middle of the deck. It's just a nice little cute way of saying, hey, I've learned this move really well. So the first finger pulls down, and then we do the same front cut, just ignoring that little bottom packet. Pull it out the way, then do a front cut. Now, of course, if you want to add a little amusement onto it, hey, why not add a little twist of the packet on the top of the deck. Now all you're doing here is doing the same front cut action, and when you're getting to this point, you spin it between the fingers, put the first finger behind, the thumb this side, and complete your spin. I mean, this is just for cut fanatics only, I'm guessing, but hey, there's got to be a couple of you out there that have got the same lunatic practice habits that I do. And that's the front cut from the middle, and just for fun, the front cut from the middle with a twist. You can also, there's all sorts of ways to play with one-handed cuts. Here's a very cute little one. I call this a four-way cut. This is where you cut the cards in 4 ways and complete the cut. It looks kind of cute. People like this kind of stuff. This is a little bit like a Charlier, but you're splitting both halves. So you start off like a Charlier, push backwards. Now your thumb comes to the edge of the cards and splits this packet down. Now before the top packet can fall, put your first finger in and split that one up too. This is just a little 4-way split cut. So the right thumb cuts that packet. The left thumb, the left forefinger splits out the other packet, and there you go. And that's a little 4-way one-handed cut. Now, of course, if you want to go completely berserk on one-handed cuts, let's try this little guy, the Siamese cut. This is where we really go crazy with the cards. Now that is cool. So let's try and explain this guy to you. Actually, let's just show it to you one more time. So it's 1, 2, 3. Whoa, my mother is so proud of me kind of cut. And there we go. And that's the Siamese cut. So here's how it's done. You pull down. Now you can't just be dropping cards here, you've actually got to control cards. So the cards are held with the little finger at the bottom, these two, second and third at the side, thumb at the other side. First finger is going to do quite a lot of work for you here. The first finger pulls down about 12 or so cards. And that goes into a Charlier action. Pull those to the back of the deck. Now let them overlap the back of the deck. You don't want them butted up against the deck. You want them to actually overlap the deck, but hold them there. Now the first finger pulls down another third of the cards. So now you've got this like little triangle thing going on. And this is where it's going to get a little twitchy for you. The first finger of the left hand pushes into the cards, pushes in and splits off a block from the front section. Are you having fun yet, my friends? Because now it's going to get really cool. We're going to straighten out those left fingers and roll the pyramid back. So we straighten out the left fingers and roll the pyramid back. What happens is that that little split off section falls between the first finger and the little finger. It means you can grip it. So now you've got a position where you can turn everything around exactly as you want to. This looks very weird. Now as you squeeze in, because of the positioning, that packet's going to be back from the edge. So now you're going to go into a total Charlier action and just close everything up. And that's going to leave that packet sticking out of the back of the deck. Now, your little finger comes around and kicks against it and squeezes it out. Till it can go no further, then you take over with the third finger and squeeze it on top of the deck. So let's put it all together. Little bit down, squish it out, show it around, Charlier up, spin it around, and there you've done the super slimy, whamey, blimey cut. And you know, as a bonus, by the way, it actually keeps the top section of the deck exactly where it was. So if you have a chosen card on top of the deck, it's going to stay there right after you've done the cut. Well worthwhile putting the effort into. Magic is amongst the best you can do. You know, let's say they've chosen a card and you've brought out the wrong card. That's always a delightful thing. And you put it in their hands and it changes to the card they actually chose. That's visual magic at its best. It's kind of fun. Color changes are great magic. This is, of course, the simplest of all the color changes. Well, simplest in terms of dynamics, it's the simplest, maybe not the simplest in terms of sleight of hand. This is a simple top change, I would call it. All I'm doing is I have their card on top of the deck, the 9 of spades in this case, let's say. I have a break on that card. I show them the card here, forward. Now as I come back, my hands are going to come together. That's automatically going to put the card over the deck. So I'm showing the card comes over the deck as if I'm going to just place it down to one side. So I come here, comes over the deck, and that's when the two cards lock together. The two cards are now locked, and I take the card underneath as I turn the deck. Now this isn't the only way to do a top change, of course. There are numerous ways to do it. But I think this is a very nice way to do a top change. It's very covered, it's very concealed, and it works perfectly. Another little color change, the so-called Erdnase color change, which has since been credited, oddly enough, to Harry Houdini, which is kind of cool. Let's show the Jack of clubs on the face of the deck. Yeah, the Jack of clubs is right there. Give it a little squeeze, and it's changed to the 10 of hearts. So how do we do this little guy? First of all, palm must cover the deck completely. Don't be doing this stuff. It's got to cover it completely, and you pull the deck back towards you while keeping pressure on this top card. So the top card is going to go scooting forwards just a little bit. So as you cover it, it's going to move forwards like this until the heel of your hand hits this card. Now you're going to pull your hand back, but the heel of your hand is going to keep pressure on that card, pulling out the card that's second from bottom until you feel it clear. Now it's going to run forwards again as you squeeze to show the color change. So what's happened is, at this point, the card's pushed forwards. As I'm pulling back to show the Jack, now I've got the card pulled back and clear. Now I squeeze everything back together, and there's our color change. Now if you want to add some stuff onto this, here's a little idea I had on it, which I think is quite cute, which is to start really deep. Now I can wave my hands like this and squeeze, and the change happens with open fingers. It's exactly the same change. Don't let this frighten you at all. I'm starting with the base of the fingers on the cards. I'm pushing. I'm still pulling back exactly the same as before till it clears. Now I'm squeezing this card in straight away, but my left little finger is going onto this card. So now as I come here, I can kind of show open fingers. Card's being held with my little finger here. Now I come just here, keep those fingers open just on the Jack of clubs, just as that card squares in, and the card changes color. So there you have the Erdnase Houdini change, or the Houdini Erdnase change, and the little samey-wimey addition to it, which I think is quite nice. There you go. Here's another little color change. Let's show the hands to be completely empty, and zhunk, and change the card. And that's the little open-handed color change that I published many, many years ago. So how do we do it? Cards on the bottom of the deck. As I show the right hand empty, that's no problem. Now as I come over to show the left hand empty, I do the start of the Kelly Ovett master move that you've learned somewhere else on this DVD, I hope, if you've actually been watching it, which would be blinky blimey good. So we've got it in the Kelly Ovett master move now. It goes between the little fingers and the third finger of the left hand, which squeezes the card up into a deep palm position in the right hand. So now it's in a deep palm position right here. Means your fingers can be open, and now all you're going to do is throw the card in between these two fingers. So as you come down, the change happens instantly. So you're showing a hand empty, and simply brushing your hand across it to make the change happen. Here's a little thing called Floop, a little color change of mine. It stands for finger loop. I've no idea why. Let me just fan out the cards, and let's take that 9 of diamonds and change it to the 9 of spades. Now, how's it done? Well, it's kind of a double lift from the center of the deck, if you will. You have, in this case, the 2 9s on the bottom of the deck with a break on them. So there's your break. Now you're going to swing cut, or swivel cut, I guess, about half the deck into your hand, maintaining your break. Now this is where it's going to get a little complicated, guys. As these cards come over, you're dumping your double on top, but you're still maintaining your break. The first finger of the left hand goes against the outer corner. Your right thumb goes against the inner corner of that double card. So now what you can do is spin the double out between those fingers, and you spin it upwards. So you've cut the deck, taken your position, and now you're spinning the double upwards. Now, as you spin it upwards, if you're going to do the color change, you also take a little break between the cards on your thumb. So you're spinning up, and as you come up, you're just taking a little break on the cards as so. So they're just separated out from each other. So now we fan out the right-hand cards, and we're going to apparently just fan down the front. What's going to happen as I come down with the fan, that face card is going to be let go, and I'm going to grab it under the fan. So it's changing just like that. And that's the floop change. It's kind of fun. Not very hard to do, and looks rather pretty. Give it a bash, you'll love it. It's marvelous. This is a lovely little color change I call Ralthazab, which is Balthazar backwards. It's kind of a version of a color change. So we'd show the 4 of diamonds, give it a little stroke, it changes to the 5 of clubs. Very delightful little color change. So to explain this little guy, what you're going to do, you're going to take a break on the back of the deck. If you can take a break on an odd colored card, it looks nicer if you go from, from say 5 of clubs to a 6 of diamonds, for example. It looks so much nicer than going from a 5 of clubs to a 5 of spades. So you want to riffle up the back, it doesn't matter how many cards, and just take a break on an odd colored card. Now you're going to swing cut across into your hand. It's very important that your left thumb stays along the edge of the deck here, because as the right hand comes over, it's just apparently going to brush these cards, but it's going to dump all of these cards on top of it. So it comes across, dumps those cards. Now, as it dumps, and this is an instantaneous move, as it dumps, the left hand starts to swivel away, but it swivels on the pivot of the left thumb. You don't want this position to be seen at all, of course. So the right hand comes in, and immediately the left hand starts to swivel away. Now, as the left hand swivels away, it pushes on its packet and then springs outwards to show the color change. So, at a kind of speed, it doesn't even look as though those packets come together at all. It looks just as though the face card has changed. So 5 of diamonds suddenly becomes the 3 of spades. What's happening, just one more time, is you've got your break, the packets come together just for a moment, the left hand starts to swivel away with that packet onto it, the finger pushes in, the first finger pushes in, and then squeezes out. And that's the little Ralthazab change. Ooh, that looked purty. One of the changes that's become very popular over the last few years is the Marc de Souza shapeshifter change, which is based on the Oscar Muniz pirouette change. And it's a beautiful little thing. It's very much a feel thing, but let's take the two of hearts, for example, and turn it into the ace of diamonds. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous change. Now, it's all about feel. So this is not really a skill thing, it's a feel thing. So we have two cards, break underneath them. The right hand is going to come over and take the cards from the non-index corners between second finger and thumb. Second finger and thumb, we're taking both cards back to back here. The left hand is going to grip those cards between thumb and third finger. So we're here and here. So now the card's right on the third finger. What's going to happen now is you want a really loose grip on the right hand, and the right thumb is going to release the cards. Now, if you have a loose enough grip, they're going to spin straight over and make it look like a really pretty change. Here's a cute way to use the shapeshifter, Oscar Muniz pirouette change, for a double change. So we would turn over, say, the ace of diamonds on top of the deck. We would change it to the two of spades, and then immediately afterwards change it to the king of spades. Now this is a great way to reveal three chosen cards. All that happens is it's exactly the same as the pirouette change or the shapeshifter change. First of all, you take a break under two cards on the deck. You do a double turnover to reveal one card. At this point, you want to take a break on three cards. So you're going to do the pirouette change with three cards here. So you spin the three cards. Now you take a break on two cards and do the spin change again. Just turning them over, as so. So you're doing the spin change yet again. So to put it into practice mode, in performance mode, if you will, we do a double turn to show a card. Wow, it's one of the chosen cards. That's great. Let's find the second chosen card, and now just for fun, let's find the third chosen card. And that's a way to do a three-way change using the Muniz pirouette or Marc de Souza shapeshifter change, if you will. Here's a little change that I kind of like. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the two of spades and tap the back and then change it into the ace of diamonds, just as so. There's the ace of diamonds. So this is a little samey change, if you will. It's based around a double lift and a second deal. What you need is a break on two cards. We're going to do a double turn, but we're not going to turn them onto the deck. We're going to turn them into the fingers and hold them up just a little, just for a moment. Now the right hand is going to come over the top and put the cards down onto the deck. The reason for this position is because it's going to be repeated in a moment, and that's what I want them to remember. I don't want them to think that the cards came anywhere near the deck. So you set the mindset for them that the card is up above the deck. At this point now you're going to do a side steal of the card underneath the two of diamonds. In this case, it's the ace of diamonds. But it's going to be kind of half a side steal. So the hand comes over the cards, and as it comes over, the left thumb pulls back the top card of the double, the two of spades. That's going to leave the ace of diamonds in this case here. As I take the ace of diamonds away in my palm, the left fingers lift the two of diamonds back to that original position. So let me just show you that in a little detail here. So the cards are turned. We have the ace of diamonds, and now we lift it back into place. Remember, I've got this card palmed right here now. As my hand comes over, I just dump it on top. I turn the cards down, and at this point, I actually do a second deal to put the card face up onto the table. So in one smooth motion, it's, hey, here we've got the ace of diamonds. Let's give it a little tap. Turns to the two of spades, and there's the two of spades. It's changed. How cool is that? Dan Garrett published a lovely little color change, and it's actually quite a nice finger exercise where you spin a card between your fingers and it changes instantly to another card. That's a cute little color change, the Dan Garrett color change. So how's this little guy achieved? There's a lot of finger work involved in this one, but it's just great fun to do. What you're basically doing is you're taking a double from the top of the deck. You're taking between the right second finger and the right thumb, lifting up. Let's put the deck to one side. We don't need it for one moment, although I'll show you how you can use the deck in a moment with this color change. Now the first fingers is going to spin the card over and around. And we can keep spinning them just as so. It's actually a double card, of course. Now what's going to happen is the card is going to be gripped between the second and third fingers here. The double card is going to be gripped between those fingers. The thumb is going to let the bottom card snap off. The first finger comes around and flashes out just the single card. Now it's actually underneath this card at the moment, so as you spin it back under using your fingers, it actually goes underneath the card, and now you can take it straight back out to flash it again round and round. And in fact, you can do this over and over again until your fingers really hurt. It's all about the angles. But when you have the deck, this suddenly becomes a very practical color change, because now you can lift the card off the deck, display it, do the move, and instead of actually holding that card in your hand, what you do is as you flash this card, you dump the other card onto the deck. This is actually an idea that I think was Ernest Eric's idea. So yeah. Whoa, I don't have your card, it's the ace of diamonds. Oh my goodness me. It's changed to your card, the two of spades. Your hands are empty, the deck is clean. You're a happy little camper. This is a color change that's a favorite of Eugene Berger's. It's an Edward Marlowe change. It's based around a Ross Bertram change, where we would take the ace of diamonds, for example, and turn it directly into the two of spades. Rather nice. Of course, you have to be sitting for this one because there's a bit of lapping involved. We have two cards together. We turn them over. Now the right fingers are going to grab the non-index corner. The left fingers grab the other non-index corner, and we're going to rotate the card as so, like an anti-clockwise direction. as that happens, as soon as the card comes down flat, these fingers twist in to twist away that card into a tenkai palm position. So, we have the Ace of Diamonds. We show it. As the card goes down, the fingers twist in, very exposed to a tenkai palm position, and keep revolving the card to show the change. Let's just do that, and then we'll look at the lap action. So there's your Ace of Diamonds. It'll revolve down. It's now in tenkai. And now as I come back to the edge of the table, I release the card as I turn the other card over. And that's a beautiful Ed Marlowe color change.